Oh, Jesus.
Why is this taking so long?
Oh, there we go.
Is it popped up on your end? 'Cause it's still not working here.
It says it's recording on mine, man.
Sure, I'll just start then. So it's the NWC Show, episode 42, and if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Good morning. It's the morning for once. It's actually, I'm not doing a podcast at like the middle of the night like I usually do. It's the Hellhound Jason Hyde here. Hello.
And thanks for taking the time to come on. I've literally, the past couple of weeks since you started following us, I've been watching a few of your tweets, stuff you were sharing, and the kind of that Scottish independent scene has just really been a thing that I've put deep dive back into watching wrestling. So it's cool to have you on, especially.
I'm happy to be here, man. I don't do anything else anyway, so you're giving me something today.
So we start these off the exact same question for everybody, just to kind of break the ice. What got you into wrestling? What was that moment you were like, "This is my jam. I want to wear tights"?
So, to be honest, for me, it was never really, even when I was like right young, it was never really a desire to be a wrestler. But my dad was like a massive wrestling fan. I say he was a massive casual wrestling fan, so like he was into WWE. He couldn't name one WCW guy at the time or anything like that, but he was like a right big fan of WWE. And then he used to just like when I was like literally a child, like a baby, he would just like sit me in a chair and like watch it. So I think I just kind of, I don't remember specifically like a jump on point sort of thing, but it was mostly just it was on, and then one day I started paying attention to it with The Rock. It was I don't remember what promo, but there was a Rock promo, I think with Chris Jericho, and it was backstage. That's kind of I'm talking like 1999, so I'd have been like 3. That's like the first memory I actually like have of it, where I remember like sitting down watching it and enjoying it. But then I think maybe around the kind of the less casual, more kind of dedicated viewing started maybe 2004 or 5. Just kind of around the time I kind of got more interested in it in the first brand split. But then when it was kind of into the kind of Mania 21 time was when I was really into it. That was the first Mania I remember like being excited for the build up and like getting to stay up late to watch it and all that. So probably about that time. So like a kind of mixture between late 90s to the early 2000s time ish.
Well, I'm a bit older than you, so I turned 30 this year, which in a couple of weeks, which I'm like dreading already. Like I'm signing up
I'm dreading turning 30 and I'm 24, man. Don't worry about that.
signing up like my funeral costs and stuff like that already. I'm like, no, that's me done. So I'm a bit older, but I got into wrestling, say around like 97, when it was on the TV one day, and I just kind of stood there and was watching it when I was a kid, and then just ever since then it was just, this is my thing. I love this, which is, sometimes it's hard to watch, and just now I do the same with my kids. I leave it on, so like I'll put it on WWE Network or something. But like the cool stuff, no, like the whatever they're doing today, I try and put
stuff in that.
some cool stuff on, so try to get them to watch it, but it doesn't work. They're no
I mean,
interested
see
in
the
it.
new, I do still watch wrestling the new, but like most of my time spent watching wrestling is like I'll go on the network and put on like a random episode of SmackDown for 2003 or something. The only kind of up to date stuff I have is that like I keep up with the pay per views. So if I've got like the Monday free, I can stay up late and watch it, or I can watch it on the Monday if I don't have the time free. So I kind of stay up to date with like who's in the champions in WWE and kind of I have a rough idea of what's going on to a degree. But most of my kind of wrestling consumption isn't even full shows. I'll watch a match. Like, if I'm sitting down, for example, to watch wrestling for a couple of hours, I'll go on like all these apps and just like watch a match for this show, a match for this show, a match for this show, and just kind of try and get a bit of everything in. Because I think I was, for like longer than most people, I was very WWE centric. So like I was quite unaware of the outside part of wrestling for like the longest time outside of holiday camps, where I genuinely thought that was just people that worked at like the holiday camp places that just so happened to know how to wrestle when I was a wee boy. So like for a wee while I didn't want to be a wrestler, but I did kind of want to be a holiday rep at Haven for a couple of years. But for there, I just kind of started kind of drifting away from WWE more and into like see like the kind of stuff that's on the High Spots network and that, just kind of more alternative hipster wrestling, basically. Like the glasses and everything, just go with the look. I'm just a big snobby hipster.
Man, I'm the same. Like when I sit down, I'm not sitting down to watch a whole pay-per-view, like 3 hours, 2 hours. I'll pick like a couple of matches that I'm going to watch because sometimes I might want to watch Bret Hart, WCW. I'll pick like a few good matches, whatever. But time-wise, I don't really sit down and watch like a whole show just because life and stuff like that. But
I don't really see the point in like as well. Like so many people are like one-sided with wrestling. I'm like, this is like it's like a material to consume. So like, to me, it's the equivalent of like being a big music fan but only listening to and going to see one artist. Like it just doesn't really compute to me. So like, I'll more follow wrestlers than companies. So like, recently I've been really really enjoying watching Max the Impaler. They're just new on ROH. Phenomenal, absolutely just out of this world kind of weird, cool hybrid throwback wrestling, but with like a very modernised yet Mad Max style character. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like really cool. So I've been watching a lot of their matches. And who else have I been watching? I watched a lot of Luchasaurus. I'm just proper into Luchasaurus. So, and I do watch AEW a lot as well. But again, that's just matches. So like recently, it was for the Rusev, Miro, and Darby Allin match for the title. I saw the result of that, and I was like, I'll see if that's a good match. Ended up watching the whole show. But like, my consumption of it is just very all over the shop. I don't really know the next thing I'm going to watch or the last thing I watched half the time. But so yeah, it's mostly kind of people that I follow rather than companies or promotions or whatnot.
I'm the same, man. Like I try and stick to like the guys that I like. New guys like Darby Allin is one of my favourite guys. Adam Page, Rhea Ripley. So I'm happy to watch their kind of stuff. But like if it as a company, I don't see the point of just like, oh, I'm only going to watch this company because there's so much wrestling out there to watch. There's no point in being like, I'm just going to stick to this, which might not be that good. But like you're saying about the kind of newer stuff, if it wasn't for this channel and me reviewing the stuff, I wouldn't be sitting watching it. Like I wouldn't be sitting watching 3 hours of Raw or 2 hours of SmackDown, which sometimes can be like the hardest thing you can possibly do. But
See, I don't really get the point as well of folk that say they don't like WWE because I'm like, granted, you might not like Raw, for example. I don't think anybody there now really likes Raw. Raw's something that people are, again, I'm not really kept up with it, but it seems like something people are more sticking with the now to see if something good happens. SmackDown, I've heard better things, and I do watch a bit more matches for SmackDown. It seems to be better, but like there's like WWE is basically 5 wrestling companies now, like 5 promotions. So to say like when folks say they don't like WWE, I just don't get it because I'm like, what do you mean? Like it's that's like saying you don't like bread. Like what kind of bread?
the way I always say it is like when somebody goes like, "Oh, I don't like Disney." It's like, well, you can't just say you don't like Disney because it's like
Aye.
superheroes,
No, just
Star
that. You
Wars.
just can't say you don't like Disney. That's just a fact. You just can't deny it.
There's so much that you can say, but I'm the same. I don't get why people would say they don't like WWE. I like to bitch about it sometimes, especially with like Raw, SmackDown. Sometimes to do stuff but that's literally what I need to do for my YouTube channel. Otherwise, I would just be sitting there like it's okay. I wouldn't watch it, but I need to do it for the review things. Got a few guys that I know just watch my stuff and then they'll go watch the matches that I recommend. But I I I like to bitch about wrestling sometimes.
A lot of the time as well, like I'll be told, like I won't like search out a specific like spot unless I'm getting told that it's like bad or particularly good or that. And then yesterday, it was see that El Phantasmo thing from Impact. Somebody said about that yesterday, and I was just like, I can't do this. I can't just sit and watch this and be happy looking at that. Like, absolutely no disrespect to El Phantasmo because he's fantastic, but like, I was watching that and being like, what? What are you doing? Like, see if I was in a real fight and I just stood on a wall and started balancing and then jumped off somebody's arm while holding somebody's hand. I don't think Andy's got to let me do that. Like, it just makes no sense to me. So, like,
You
see
never
stuff
know
like that, I still kind of go in and kind of pick apart the wee bits, but That's kind of the most gripes I get. Whereas usually if I watch like an entire show or that, or like a match, I tend to just like take the overall view of it was like a good match, even if I didn't like something in it. So like I try and be a bit of a hopeless optimist with wrestling most of the time, except for that spot with El Phantasmo, obviously.
I'm the exact same, man. Like every time that with Raw, right now, Raw's been really bad in my opinion. Obviously, everybody can have whatever they want, but like I tune into it, I watch it when I'm at the gym, and it just bores the living hell out of me. Like I'm like, this is so hard to watch, and it's like I'm just waiting for something good to happen, and then a glimmer of something good happens out of the 3 hours. I'm like, it was a good show. I'm all right. I don't care. Like the rest is still all right. Still able to be saved, but. I get what you mean. Like it's sometimes you watch, like you're saying, somebody in a real street fight. I always hate a lot of people go, oh, Bret Hart puts a sharpshooter on. Like when I was a kid, people used to put me in it or I'd put something in it. They'd be screaming in pain because it's sore when you do it in real life.
I like even obviously I get it that the setup in a sharpshooter is very, very unrealistic, but like a sharpshooter fucking it hurts. Like it's sore. Same as like see the Walls of Jericho or the Boston Crab. When I was young, I was like, doesn't look safe at all. And then my cousin put me in one, and I thought, right, well, now I can't walk again. I would need to live with that for the rest of my life. But like, I don't like. I think especially see like that specific spot. Like I was watching it, and I could like, because like he clearly can never do that spot ever again in his life now. It just would make it worse. But like, I was watching it, I was like, there's 4 different spots you could have made of that are all good spots that can slightly suspend your disbelief still, but are still just very athletically impressive. Because like that thing was like, as much as I wasn't a fan of it, it was ridiculously impressive. Like being able to walk on the rope, jump, land, do all the stuff. But it just was so broken by like the whole very ginger pickup, followed by the guy quite obviously getting up for him. And then they had a pure ridiculously mental Death Valley driver. It's honestly I couldn't sleep last night because it.
I did enjoy the Death Valley driver part of it, but like you were saying, the bit was just a wee bit like
a bit too ballet. Like now they say this ain't ballet, kid. Apparently it was.
That's a great that I have with wrestling because when I was doing it, it was all about making it look real, making it look hard. So then when somebody's in the audience, they'll be like, "Oh shit, that guy's like getting his cunt kicked in," but like it's a lot more flippy. And I'm not saying it's no good. The flippy stuff is obviously it's got a time and place, which I like watching. Jeff Hardy, Sabu, whatever, is like doing their flippy stuff, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like you're just like, why is that flip there? What are you doing that for? Like, but
that was something I had actually. I watched NXT UK is one of those shows where I'll watch it and be like, this is amazing, and then no watch it again for like a year. Same way 205 Live, like I'll watch one episode in like class and then never watch it. But I was watching I forgot his WWE name. Ben Carter it was, I think it's Nathan Fraser. And like he's fantastic. He is absolutely phenomenal. But like he was just doing flips for no reason. Like he was just going from rope to rope and just putting all your head spring in the middle. And I'm like, I just don't get it. Like I'm not getting against it. If people are into that and want to do that, then by all means. I just don't get it myself. Like I don't know. I genuinely think it's because I was like trained and like shown how everything works by somebody who is a mere old school wrestler. In ring, he's not like an old guy or that. He's TJ Rage. He's like not that much older than me. But like in ring style, he's very much old school. Like just because the man's just a walking tank. Like that's the best way I can put it. Is that he's just like this freak of nature. So like. I think maybe like that's had a big influence in how I see it, but like I just don't get it because like even for that, there's people who he trained like Daz Black, who's doing quite well in the ICW and things like that. He knows where to put his flips and stuff like that because he came through. So I think there's definitely like 2 schools of thought on it, and I don't know if one's right or wrong, but like I just don't get it. It confuses me. Like, why would you want to do a flip that you don't need to do? It baffles me. So bizarre.
There's a time and place for them as well. Like there's literally a time and place to put them into the match. Like if you ever watched any old Vader matches, when he goes up and does that flip, you're like, this guy's going to land on somebody and kill somebody, or he's going to kill himself. Now, that flip was like a waste of time doing it, but it just looks so cool. And because barely anybody ever done them at that point, but then now it's every second match. And like you said about NXT UK, I'm the exact same. Like, I really enjoy it. I think it's a really great show. Every match on it's pretty good. Never really watch it that much. Like, I put it on and then I'll be
Aye.
like, this is really enjoyable. I should start watching this like nearly every week. And then it's like 6 months later, I really need to start watching NXT UK again.
One of the things that turned me off on it was the Heritage Cup rules, because it was like, I just don't like stop-start round matches. I'm all right with like a 2 to 3 falls or an Iron Man, but see how when like there's rounds involved, I'm like, stop. But like it was Noam Dar and Nathan Fraser, and obviously despite the flips that made no sense, it was a phenomenal match and like paced really well and stuff like that. So like, I think there's that was really really different and kind of added into like the kind of mix of the styles of the flips. And I say like no like old school because Noam Dar's not exactly old school, but he's definitely got like a kind of British style technical base there. Like you can see he's like a really proficient guy in it, and like that did kind of grab me for sure. I did enjoy that one, but like even in that, like a lot of the time, like my kind of no enjoyment per se, because I was still enjoying it, but like my immersion in it was kind of hampered by the fact that like a guy's just done 3 flips and I was sat there questioning why. And I like that's the kind of stuff like I'm now getting into the point where like things that I've been told are now applying to me when it comes to like wrestling. So like the things that used to annoy people that were feeding things back to me about me are now annoying me about other people. Know that I can really know that there's like NXT UK guys sat there greeting because I didn't like their flip right enough, but like I hope not anyway. Uh, but it's quite, I don't know, I just don't get it. I'm probably too old in the heat.
But I'm the exact same. Like, obviously I started training a long time ago, but it was like they've got a time and place. Like, there's a place to use them, when to work them into a match. But sometimes, like you said, you see a guy do like 3 flips, and you're like, "Why?" Like, if you were really doing that in a real fight, somebody would just boot you in the face at the second flip. You know what I mean? And then you just like, imagine being out, somebody starting to argue with you, and then they start flipping away. You'd be like, you'd shit yourself first of all, because you'd be like,
Aye,
why the
for
fuck?
I'm not fighting the guy that flips to work.
Especially in Glasgow, if you're starting around like doing like a backflip, you're like, all right, mate, calm down, you fucking weird gymnast. But I don't, I'm not a big fan of it. But anyway, man, what got you to make that step into doing wrestling? What got you to go to training?
So used to I don't it wasn't actually at the time I lived with him, it was beforehand. But I was pals with a guy who he's left wrestling now to pursue MMA kind of endeavours and things. But he wrestled for a while. He was called Daryl Costello. He wrestled with like Respect and things like that. He was, I think, for a wee while he was Respect Tag Champion. And then during the COVID time, he's kind of hung it up. But at the start, he wasn't really into wrestling, and I was into it, of course. And I was just showing him stuff, and he was like a big fitness guy, and he was like really impressed by that aspect. And kind of went down the road of wanting to train and all that. And he's a really, really quiet guy, so he was just basically talking me into going for a wee while till he kind of gets acquainted with people. And I'm like more than happy to do that. And then just kind of A's led to B, and I'm still here and he's no. So I don't know how that happened because he was far better at wrestling than me. Anyway, I'll tell you that. Not that it's hard. I'm just kind of there to throw people about like a sandwich.
Sometimes, let's say, man, everybody's got a place in the card, and sometimes you just need those people. I used to be the guy that would, when I first started, one of my best friends, he was called Hugo. He was like just under 7 feet. He was born in Russia, but he was from Africa, and he was like jacked. So me and him used to work all the time, and I was just there just to get through around the ring by him at the very start,
Oh,
which was brilliant. Plus, it's mega easy when he's so big. I don't even need to jump. You can just pick me up. Like, I was like, all right, thanks, mate. Just you. You do the work, do what you need to do, and then tell me when you need me to do what I need to do. But it was
that's
fun.
what I've actually been kind of looking for is like I'm always like the bigger person in matches, but then I quite like kicking out with the occasional wee flip or like the occasional wee fancy move. So I really want somebody that can absolutely lob me about so that I can do all that stuff to them. The closest I've came is Bobby Roberts because like he hit me with like just a scoop slam of that, and I remember after I took the slam, I was like, he just done that. I had no power to stop him there if I wanted to. Like, that was frightening, man. Like, he's a bit of a beast, man. He can know that it's surprising he can go, but he can yeet me about, man. It's frightening.
I mean, when I had him on the podcast, he was obviously telling me I should go to like the skill that he's got. He's like, even if you can't wrestle anymore, you could maybe do like manager stuff and that. And talking to you guys is the worst thing ever, because I had the itch to go back because I wasn't talking to anybody in wrestling. I've not got it. But starting this podcast, I'm really like, maybe I could go back and do like manager stuff or some stuff.
I've been in his facility as well at the Respect school, and it is a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Like, see how especially looking at it from the outside, it's like no unremarkable, but like, you wouldn't think there's that much stuff. You'd be able to think there's a good training hall in there, maybe a changing room, but like there's so much, and it all is like it's a right good facility, man. Because I was working with Bobby the end of 2019. It was because it started off. He messaged me, just basically talking about having me on one of the show he was doing. So I took him up on that offer. Did the show, and then after it, he was like, "Oh, thanks for clearing the ring up and that." So because we cleared the ring up, he was like, "I don't want you to like be doing that and no event to show for it," which is quite rare. No rare, because like you will get your hard work paid after, but like in a direct way of like you've just done that once, so you'll get like that. It's quite rare. So like he was basically saying that, and I eventually got to see the facility, and it's world class, man. Honestly, like it's definitely too fancy to be in Scotland. Like when I was in it, I was like, this is at least California, maybe New York level of gaff. This is too rich for my blood. I need mats.
Man,
I think I've lost you.
I started training, and
Oh, there you're back.
sorry, man, I don't know what happened there. It just went really weird. Is the picture still working? Yeah.
I'll just check my Wi-Fi still up in case it was mine. No, we're good. My girlfriend just walked out the front door, so maybe it's something to do with that. She just like sent a wee huff through that turned the internet off.
For some reason, it's saying it's on hold, so I don't know how to fix it. Hopefully, it fixes.
It says on mine the call's still recorded.
Working. We got it working again. That's fine.
Perfect.
As I say, man, it's not a professional thing. We're not here to make stuff professional. But so when I started training, it was like 2003, 4-ish, and it was like in the middle of nowhere in Linwood, if you know where that is.
Linwood's one of the places that I have heard of, but I've never been there or seen a sign for it or that, so I kind of refuse to believe that it exists. Like, see, like West Kilbride. Like, I don't believe West Kilbride exists either. That's a fantasy land like Narnia.
Man, there's a few places when you're on the train as well, and you're like you go by it, and you're like, this isn't going to be a real place.
I was on a train to a show once, and I fell asleep, and I ended up in a place called Crossmaloof, and like this is spelled Cross My Loof. So I was looking at this sign, and I just woke up quite dazed and confused, and I was like, I don't know if I'm in the right place. I just got up, panicked, and got off the train. So I got back on the train, hoping that I was going to end up at my whatever the hell I was supposed to be, and then I did. But like I got off maybe 3 stops after I got on. So I was supposed to be doing. I can't remember where it was going. I think it was just maybe the Borders or something. But I was on a train for maybe 15 minutes, fell asleep for 5 of them, woke up in Crossmaloof and thought I was in the Borders of Scotland.
Crossmaloof literally looks like it. There's literally nothing. Like, it's so close to Glasgow to have nothing in it. Like, you're like, what the
There's
hell?
a
It's the same
music
as
studio there actually. I found that out. There's a recording studio, and
I've
that's
never
about it.
ventured anywhere outside that wee train station, but I've only ever got out there to like change train or something. I've never ventured anywhere further out because in my brain,
Oh no,
it's just
I just
weird.
I dare no do that. It just doesn't strike me as the right thing to do. I feel like I don't know the people of Crossmouth. For all I know, they could be feral beings, and feral beings are my top three things that I don't like engaging with, along with Tories and cats.
I'm on you with that, man. But the worst thing is a lot of people only from Scotland, so outside the big cities, there's literally just nothing, and then there's these wee mini like places that are there, but like there's even
Aye,
like Kirkcaldy as well. Like that's like there's nothing there. It's like a street, a
100%
police
made up
station.
place as well. I mean, see where I live. Like I live somewhere where, like, when I tell people from outside of Scotland, or even from a different part of Scotland where I'm from, it's like a tiered system. So I'll start where I live, and then I'll start with the next most known town, and I'll just say that I live there because that's the best I can do. And if they don't know that, so I live in Wishaw. If nobody knows where that is, I'll be like, right, Motherwell, and they're like, no. I'm like, Lanarkshire, nope. Glasgow. I live in Glasgow. That's fine. That's where I stay.
Pretty much the
Proud
whole
Glaswegian.
west of Scotland's just like Glasgow. Just well, that is. I live in the city centre of Glasgow because it's the easiest place for me to get to work. And I stayed further out, and the train was just a pain in the morning. I moved to the city centre and we went into lockdown, so I was like, bastard. I could have just stayed out in the middle of
It's,
nowhere. But
no, I mean, it was definitely a weird one at the start of lockdown as well, because, like, obviously I moved to working from home, and I was, like, proper anxious about that, but then when I started doing it, I realised that I didn't need to deal with people, or, well, I didn't need to, my job entails dealing with people, but, like, I didn't need to deal with actual people talking to me and all that. So, like, now I'm trying to actually get it so I don't need to go back to the office. I just don't want to go back. I love it. I
for
went
me,
4 whole days without wearing trousers. That's the life.
most of my day, only like 2 days a week, I would go into like you have to go into work. The rest of it, I could work from home. So before it, now this time it's just everything's get to work from home, and it is great. Like you can just sit there in your jammies. You don't need to, like, so you don't need to put. You could literally sit with nothing on. It'd be a bit weird for me because I've got kids and I need to go get them for school and that. But
Aye,
I
that
can.
would that's definitely a lister. But no, to be fair, right, I was sat here weirdly enough with this jacket on, a t-shirt and a pair of boxers, and I was actually sat where I'm sat now, and I was like, I could just no put trousers on. Nobody will know, and nobody will be bothered, even if they did know. But then I thought to myself, I was like, I'll definitely feel this weird need to mention that I'm not wearing trousers. Whereas now I've realised that I've had this weird like need to mention that I was going to no wear trousers, so it was pointless putting them on in the first place.
But I'm the exact same. I put jeans on. Nobody's going to. I'm not going to stand up in this so you can see I've got jeans on. But I'm like, that'll be that
I'll
one
take your
day.
word for it. You seem trustworthy.
That one day I don't put anything on, but I stand up and I'm like, oh shit, I've not got anything on, which is I so I always try and put something on. But I get what you mean. You're like, why? Like nobody's seeing you below here. Why you even? You don't need to.
I know, like, see how there has been times when I've come in, like, if I'm working early, I'll come in, get all kind of logged in and all that, and do some work for maybe half an hour to 45 minutes, and then realise I'm in my underwear. That's not how adults do things. Even in the living room, I'm not supposed to do that. So, like, but then eventually I just gave up on my airs and graces, and I just kind of showed up and whatever I
Aye.
felt like showing up that day. I have showed up actually and just sat on this chair with like my duvet over me, like in a cocoon, and just sat there and angrily looked at my screen for a wee while. That was a day.
And the best thing for where I live is I know we might be talking about wrestling, but we're tangents. That's what I told you. But where I live,
Wrestling's for wimps. It's fine.
you can get like BrewDog, like the West beers delivered directly to your door, and they're here within like half an hour, 25 minutes, which is
Oh, aye, my
fantastic.
family are for like the middle of bumfuck nowhere. So, and I'm no exactly for like the big city, but like I'm also not in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, so I have Uber Eats. My family don't, so sometimes my sister will be like, go and just tell me all the options you've got on Uber Eats again. I know I can't get it. I just want to know what you get. I'm like, do you like gyros kebabs? I can get gyros kebabs, pal. Don't know what
And
the
man,
other
best thing for like when people live in the middle of nowhere is like Scotland is still pretty Euro. Like to barely everybody always goes, oh, obviously big cities and that. And it's like no, for as I say, there's nothing outside. Obviously there is people that live in the villages and stuff like that, but there's no like a McDonald's that's going to deliver an hour for like Glasgow to like.
Aye, like I'm fine with it. Like I don't really get why folk would want to live out in the middle of nowhere. Like I know that loads of people do, like my family do it, but I just don't get it. Like why would you not want to be able to go on your phone and have a pizza? It blows my mind. Like see how when we came here, like to view the house and all that, I put the postcode into Uber Eats and Just Eat. Like that was the first thing I done. I was like, I like to know where I'm scanning before I put any pen to paper here, pal.
100%, man. I'm on the same boat as you. Like I was saying, I can sit here in my jammies, answer some emails and stuff like that, order beer to come to the house, and then get a pizza. Especially if it's like a cheat day, I'm just sitting there, 6 beers, pizza, and it's just a great night. Like I get to watch wrestling, I get to be in my jammies, get to be comfy and day work, and I get paid for it. I'm like, this is a life. But
Well,
then they're like, oh, you need to come back, and it's like you can't give me this gloriness of the rest of the weekend to come back. I'm not doing it. Like I'm staying here. If you want to do a meeting, we can Skype or something. I'm not doing it.
I like see to be fair, I'm not what you'd consider good at my job, uh, because I just don't have the effort in me. So like it's not as if I was doing all this stuff when I was in the office anyway. I was very much skiving, but no, because I don't want to get took back to the office. I'm just like no skiving, and that seems to be working out. So far, I'm still here, and hopefully I don't leave because I'm not even slightly mentally prepared to deal with people at all. Like, see
Man,
how
I
when
went
shows are back, obviously it'll be all right because I get to be in my angry bad man persona, so I can like tell them how I genuinely feel about them in my heart of hearts, which is just nothing but pure hatred. That's not true. I like people. I just don't like it when they talk. But I'm genuinely not ready to go back to people yet. I'll need like dribs and drabs first.
and I had to go into the city centre to get some jeans and stuff like that because I've not bought jeans in over a year. Like they're all like holes and shit. Like I was like, so I went into the city centre. It was just all these people crowded queuing, and I was like, I'm just going to order this online. This is pish. Like I wanted to go see what it was like. And first thing I walked in is if you're not from Glasgow or anybody who's listening to this isn't, there's a ton of junkies, which is drug people, and they're just the first thing I walked in was like any spare change, and I was like, oh, I forgot how soul destroying this has been in here and seeing all these people, and then you've got like just all the old women and like shops that bang into you with a trolley. And I'm just going fucking online. This is shit, and I'm not dealing with you people into me.
I see as well. Like there's always folk that ask you like there's folk that ask you for money, and if I've got it, I don't mind giving them it at all. But I just love the reasonings. Like see how when somebody's like, "Can you give me 20 pence for a bottle of wine?" I'm like, "Where the fuck are you getting these 20 pence bottle of wines for?" Like I don't get it. Or
That's
every
what I mean. Like,
bus that costs 20p, every single one like, can I get 20p for the bus? I'm like, again, how is your transport so cheap?
what are you buying with 20 pence? Even if you're lying to me, what are you getting with 20 pence? Because I don't know what you can buy with 20. And where would I have 20 pence? Like, it's 2021. I don't have money on me at all. Like, I'll go to the bank
Do
and
you know
give you
what
a
the thing
tenner or
is?
something. Money.
I was like, obviously, I'm not like this now because I'm like a grown human being with an understanding of the world. But at the time, I was just tell anybody that was like homeless or that, it was like, if you give them money, they're going to spend it on drugs. So you buy them food. That's what I was told. And I was like, cool. But then one day, a woman come up to me when I was sat outside Sainsbury's in like Central. I was just sitting there checking train times, and she comes up and she gives me a vegan sausage roll and a cup of tea, and asks if I wanted to go and buy me a blanket. And I had to like, I was sat in my head. I was like, "Here's your options, pal. You can either tell her you're no homeless, hope she lets you keep the scran, and it all blows over, or just pretend you're actually homeless. Take the scran and go. Nobody'll judge you. I eventually told her, and she was absolutely mortified. But aye, that's why I'm no one of the like just kind of offer to buy the food now, because I don't want to go through the embarrassment that woman did ever in my life. And I get it, because I
Man,
do kind of look a bit homeless. So
I would
like,
die if I done that and you went, "Oh, I'm not homeless." I would literally die. Like I would just pass
I
out.
think
I
like
would get on a die, like just to get out of that situation.
I think like if I was sat there with like a non-dishevelled look and a short back and sides and a well put together persona, then maybe. But like I do look a bit like a tramp of sorts. So I get it. Like I totally get it. I'm just going to say it fits the gimmick, when really it's just I put very little effort into my appearance.
But I would have, man, that must have been the most embarrassing thing for that woman ever. Like just walking up and you're like, I am no
Oh,
homeless,
I'm
but
pretty sure I saw like some. I'm pretty sure I seen loads of folk retweet a story of the exact same nature that day, and I was like, I'm viral on Twitter, and I don't even get the credit for it because I need to just sit here and look homeless. Although
man,
no, like I'm kind of, I don't really obviously go in to get put in that situation too much, but like I don't even know if I look better or worse than I did a year ago, because I don't even check, because I don't need to do it and like leave the house or that. So like the effort just doesn't go in. So it's got to the point where if somebody comes up to me with a sausage roll, I'm just got to be like, cheers, I'll take it. I'm not going to tell you I'm not homeless. I'm going to eat it in my warm gaff.
to be honest with you, man, I would take the food. Like, I'm always hungry, so if somebody came up to me with a sausage roll, I'd take it and be like, I am homeless, and it's, but it would if it was me getting somebody food, I would have probably just wanted, like I would have fake dying or something. Oh no, I'm dead. Phone the ambulance, take me away. So I can't do this.
When you said you're always hungry, I don't know why, but it just made me think case somebody gave Ryback a sausage roll. Like, oh, you
Man,
hungry, me Ryback, pal? Retire.
man, the guy really needs to stop doing the Twitter polls. I know he's
Oh,
doing it to
mate.
get rage,
I was
but
like, how do you fraudulently vote on a fucking poll that's based on percentages? What, are you going to be like, oh, one got 60% and then the other got 90%? Like, folk want you to retire, just don't give them the option. I personally don't want right back to retire. I don't really care what he does. Uh,
I
but
I'm not that invested in his life to really be interested in where he goes or
don't get me wrong, he does seem like a wee bit of a helmet, but I did meet him once when he was in Scotland, and he was genuinely really, really nice. Like, I had nothing bad to say about him. I would just say, like, we all know the nature of wrestling fans. We all know what they're like. Don't even if it doesn't really matter, don't put your future in their hands. And see after it when it was like, oh, you're all idiots think I would do that. I'm like, right, don't just pass off your idiotic mistake as heat. That's almost as bad as like, see the wrestling fans that cut promos on Twitter about how good a wrestling fan they are.
oh,
That's on that level of just absolutely weak sauce.
man, do you know what's something that poor I know people will probably hate me for saying this, but see like they have like Twitter leagues. I don't know if you've seen this and like it's like
He
YouTubers
said,
they cut promos and it's so fucking cringy. It's like just stop it, like stop. Because when I was wrestling, if you done that, I would have wanted you to come to a show so I could be in the ring and take the living shit piss out of you because that is the most cringiest thing ever. Sitting there and being like, you should watch my channel because I and like try to play a heel persona and stuff like that. You're like, fuck off, like stop being a
no, just
weirdo.
that. See when folk are like just being a dick on Twitter and they're like, oh, I'm a heel. You're not a heel, you're a cunt. That's what it is. You're not a heel.
And that's
Like,
the exact same
heel
thing. I
is,
say like
and
there's
like, not just that, the reason for a heel is to get a babyface over as a babyface. So who are they getting over? Who are they doing the fatals for? Like, I certainly haven't benefited after promos. Like, and obviously, folk can do it. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I fucking hate it when it
I'm
happens.
just saying at one point a couple of months ago I was like, should I make content on how silly this is? Because like the and then you look at the comments and everybody's like poor cheering the own and stuff, and I'm like, how are you enjoying this? This is like awkward. Like there's no reason for these guys to like, or like you say when people are on Twitter and they just like only like create stupid comments that like puts people down because I'm a heel. Like, not. That's not how heels even work. That's not literally you've missed wrestling completely. The story you've missed it. But
here's what I've kind of took for the kind of whole like. Obviously, I can relate it back to wrestling because I'm very good like that. Obviously, but like, see how when you're a heel cut a promo, right? Just for example, if you're like getting heat and you call somebody fat or something, that's not gonna get a reaction. That's just gonna make them feel bad. If you specify like a specific thing that might actually be like a discomfort to somebody, obviously, it's just a dickish thing to do and you shouldn't do it, but also it's not going to get the effect that you want. Whereas if you go for a more kind of nuanced, like, if you call somebody fat, they're going to be like, oh, I feel shit now. If you call somebody ugly, in their mind, they become the most beautiful bastard the world's ever placed. And, like, they will go for it. It's just backwards of what being a heel really at the depth of it is. Because, like, you're not there to make people dislike themselves. You're there to make them dislike you. So like, I don't know. It's just it's on the exact same level as Hughes trying to get over his faces. It annoys me on either end.
I'm with you. The best ones that I've had recently is a lot of people call me bald, and I'm like, do you think I know that I'm bald? Like I'm the one shaving my head in the morning. I know that I'm bald. I don't need you to tell me. And it's like it's not even an insult. Like, oh no, you're bald. I know.
It's like sky's up. You need to be smart about it. Like I would call you like Eric Rowan for Wish or upside down Seamus.
See, man, that stuff is good. But you're bald. Or one time I done a video and I was like, I was going out to drink whiskey. I was going to whiskey tasting, and somebody's like, "Oh, you're an alcoholic," and I was like, "I'm Scottish. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, literally missing the point. Like, alcoholic. What?"
See, people that like aren't Scottish that find out I don't drink freak out because they're like, "But you're Scottish," and I'm like, "Aye," and I think that it tastes like cleaning products. I'm sorry, I don't know what you want from me. It's a definite weird one, man. Like, one of the weirdest things that I ever got like heckled at is that somebody just shouted dark hair at me, and I was like, I had to come out like no come out of character because I don't go that deep into it. But I was like, I stopped shouting at folk, and I was like, what? Yes, I don't know what you're going for. And they just went goth. I was like, all right, that's fine. I have dark hair. It's no dyed or anything, but apparently that makes me a goth. I thought it'd be I don't know, countless satanic rituals a day or whatever it is goths get up to.
The no drinking thing, I hate when people as well that don't drink and everybody always goes, "Oh, why do you no drink?" And it's like, I don't really care. Like, leave me to enjoy my alcoholic beverage. You can go and have your orange juice, whatever. I don't care.
I still go out with folk and all that. Like, if my pals are at the pub, I'll still go because I want to see my pals. But like, I don't drink. But at the same time, like, I remember there was this once. It was my girlfriend's sister's boyfriend. He had this rum, and it like there was a smell to it where he wasn't sure if it smelt like there was something wrong with it. And nobody in this house could tell. And he was like whispering to folk. He was like, "Is he allowed to smell this?" And I was like, I just don't like it. I'm no a recovering alcoholic. Like, I just don't like it. It's so weird.
Man, for like a year, I just didn't take any alcohol, and I was like, I'm not going to take anything. I want to get in better shape. And then when I would go to the pub and be like, "Oh, can I just get like an orange juice or like a Coke?" And people are like, "Oh, you staying after drink? Were you an alcoholic?" And I'm like, "No, what the fuck? I'm just what the fuck? You need to
like it's so weird. Like, see, no drink as well. That is very high up on the list of non-gay things I've been called gay for. Like, you know that way. Like, being gay is a sexual attraction to the same gender, but also being gay is having long hair, no drinking, being in a purple car. I've had that before. Somebody called me gay for being in a purple car. Like, that's such a weird thing. that I just don't get is like, see how if somebody wants to get drunk or whatever, like just you don't need a partner for it. Just get on it. Don't be a coward.
Man, I try and avoid talking to people about like so all my pals, they normally either once a year we'll go get a drink or something, but we don't drink the rest of the year. For me, it depends how annoying my kids are that week to see how many have a beer at the weekend or whatever. Wait, if you ever have kids in the future, man, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Just pours into your brain sometimes. The lockdown's been hard, right? I've had to teach them maths. I fucking thought I was done with it, but
I've got the nephews now, so like I'm in the very graceful part of it where I get to give them back when they get annoying. Like, see when they're all being chill and they want to watch things that I really want to watch, but it's not really socially acceptable to watch without a child present.
Aye.
I'll be like I just want to watch Treasure Planet, but I can't because I'm a 24-year-old man and people will judge me. Shay, come, we're watching something or something like that. But then see when they start like asking questions and you need to feed them and sometimes they shite themselves. Go away. Go away.
I tried to get them back, but they didn't go back, so it was a wee bit, it was a bit of a pain. But they're not bad. Like they're all right, but no, it's no. It depends how annoying they're. The lockdown's been hard. The schools opening was like a holy grail to be able to get them back for like a small percentage of the day. And when people go, oh, but you're a parent, you should enjoy being with them. I do enjoy being with them. No 24 hours a day because it's fucking hard listening to them talk to you and ask questions about everything. Like, why are you doing what? Why are you sending this email to? Why is the sky blue? How many clouds are there? Why is the grass green? Can't you just accept that it's green and leave me alone? I do love my kids in case anybody's out there. Already had an argument with a guy on Twitter because I said something in one podcast about sometimes your kids can be annoying, and they were like, "Oh, they're the apple of my eye," and I'm like, "Aye, cool," but it's funny to take the piss at them as well. Come on, they're like two wee people that are just.
Look, to be fair, one of my nephews is like 9 months to now, but my other one's 5. And the only thing he ever really annoys me with is he just keeps asking where Krieger is. Every 2 minutes he'll be like, "Where's Krieger?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. We do other things sometimes. Like, sometimes I'll be with him, sometimes we'll be doing our own thing." That's how general life works. And he'll be like, "Right, where is he?" But so 99% of my time when I'm spending it with my nephews, I at least once need to phone Krieger to confirm that I'm in fact still pals with him because that's all my nephew wants to know. It's very Dean Ford as well. Like, I don't know why, but like my nephew does not give a shit about me. As soon as I'm there, he's just asking about them. And I'm pretty sure he calls Dean Uncle Dino, which is weird because he doesn't call me Uncle. So that's my running.
That's the other thing as well. A lot of people don't get the Scottish humour. It's like, I'll take the piss out my kids, but they obviously love them. It's a way Scottish people show that you love things. And
that's how I'm with my mom. Like, my mom is demented with me because I must be the most annoying son ever. Like, I'll just run into her house and like she'll be like lying in the room watching a film or whatever. I will bust the door open in such dramatic fashion and like throw pillies off the wall and shit just so that she can be like, "What are you doing?" I'll be like, "Oh, nothing, I just thought I lost something," and then walk out. Like, see stuff like that. My mum must genuinely have thoughts of strangling me at least minutely. Possibly.
My fiance who says like there's been times that she wants to put like the pillar in my head because like I'm really annoying. I like to annoy people and I like to play pranks and like just annoy people because if I can annoy somebody to the point when they're like, "Can you just fucking leave me alone?" and I'm like, "Got you." Like, but that's what they're there for. I mean, and they're staying with me. They've signed up for it. And again, I know somebody's going to click this or something or tweet me and be like, "Oh, you don't love your fiance." I don't care. They're there for a reason. You need to annoy them. But
so, I mean, my girlfriend lives with me, and she has the patience of an absolute saint. Because you could make a documentary or just the weird shit I do about this place, and she just deals with it. Like, I'm trying to think any of the weird stuff I do, but they're not even in view. I've got a skull with a face tattoo, as a permanent year-round decoration, which occasionally she will like dust off or like put specs on it or that. So like she doesn't even. It's annoying to me that she doesn't get annoyed by me annoying her. It pure riles me up. I'm lucky with the tag partner here, like Realm it though, because like when me and Benny met, it turned to just me and him going and annoying everybody else. So like we managed to pick up steam with that. Hopefully it does the same with the wrestling as well, but at least we're good at annoying folk.
I always hate when people, like when I say that I annoy kids, my fiance, like, or I moan about them, and people just be like, oh, like I was saying, like, oh, you don't love them. Then they'll make a tweet post. There was a guy who done it the other week. He ended up deleting it, but he was poor, like tagged me in it and was like, this guy's an abuser. And I was poor, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is such a weird, like, Twitter's a weird place. Anyway, man, talking about, obviously, you said about dark hair. I was telling you about my friend called Hugo. The best thing, I was coming into the ring with him one time. It was just before I broke my neck. My knee was in agony, so I was just walking with him like as a manager guy.
Right.
I wasn't really a manager. I just went out the ring and stood there for a wee bit and like cheered when something happened. But
Like the Bucks with Kenny Omega used to do.
aye,
Well, they would never actually date or interfere. They would just occasionally slap the apron.
I
Best
was
best
there
part of the show, man. Easy wage.
So we went out and they get this woman in the audience was like pure like heckling everybody the whole night. So I was getting called short, whatever, and then she just like shouted to Hugo. She was like, "Big dick," and he just like looked at her and was like, "That's not even like the guys in the
Like,
ring," and everybody was just pure. What the
I
fuck?
don't know if that kind of comes under a weird category of like like a racist compliment. Like
That's what
I don't.
that's
I
what we were
can't
thinking
even
as well.
fathom that.
He
Like,
was like, "Is that like?" Is that like a? I don't know. And then he was the most not like he didn't care whatever you called him, right? So he would be. He's the most racist guy I've ever met in my life as well, which is weird because he's feel like Russia, so he's dealt with all of this like weird racism. So then like he's just mega racist to
I just
everybody.
bounces off him.
He doesn't care. But when the woman done it, he was just like, "What the fuck? How is that a what?" But the dark hair
I
one
like,
was cool. But
especially was he a heel at the time?
no, he was a good guy. So it was just like a weird fucking like why
That's
are you shout? She was literally shouting at everybody, and then was just like,
Oh, I love the ones though. See how when you get like, for some reason you'll just get it's always like subdued wins that they bring, but then you just get the tap drawn maws that want your they want to have your life on a platter, man. I remember there was this once I was wrestling. Where was I wrestling? Oh, I was wrestling in an orange hall in Bathgate. On which day I actually had to go by my ring name outside of the ring because, like, as you can probably tell by admin Skype, my name is not Orange Hall friendly. I don't take any part of that, but like my name is very much not welcome there.
yeah.
And I don't remember even what I said, but like after the match, this guy came out. I say this guy, it was the promoter, and he was like, "Oh mate, that was brilliant. You've just sent a wee Wayne Hayne greeting," and I felt awful, man. Like I genuinely was like, "That's not. I'm here to entertain. I don't want to do that." I then went right. Can you point out the parent, and I will go up. I'll speak to the Wayne, and I'll try and like in a kayfabe way make it better. Uh, so he went, aye, if you want. So it was a guy called Dave Jeremy. Was like, right, I'll point out who it was. And he pointed at this woman who we both realised was making a fucking beeline for me. So my original intentions of going out and apologising to this woman and making good on a very, very heinous wrong that I'd done ended up being her rattling this door with me, TJ, and Dave Jeremy on the inside of the door, holding it, while Angel Hayes was on the outside being like, "You can't go in there, you can't go in there, you can't go in there." It was absolutely mad. But that's probably my favourite thing that's happened with a fan altercation like that. I think probably there's probably been worse that I've just like selective memory because I was probably in the ring with them. But that's my favourite thing so far, like that, is that I got to make a child cry. And then see eventually as well, we went out, we were then like we were like leaving. Like the boy small was still in rattling this door trying to get through to me even though I was outside. the boy was standing out there fine and spoke to me, and I was like, "Your mom's trying to kill me, by the way." And he was like, "Oh, it's all right. She's just like that." And I'm like, "What, a murderer? What do you mean?"
She does it every weekend. Don't worry about it. What the fuck? Somebody go help her or something.
And not just that. See how this the in Barkey at the time it's now run by I think it's Wrestling Experience Scotland. But at the time it was run by a different company, and like they had like their regular shows, their regular crowd. So like after that, everybody just kind of knew me as the guy who would make their children cry. So like, and know that they do big crowds. Like the last show we done was maybe 18 people, but like these people were offering up their children for me to attempt to make them cry, and I was like, "User, this is a different universe, man." Like it happened once, and I didn't even mean it. I don't even know what I said to them. But like, aye, that went well until it didn't. But at least a child cried. That's all that matters.
And it was a time that I was somewhere and it was like at a wrestling show again. I was when I was injured and I was standing waiting to like I was taking tickets and stuff like that. And then these people were coming in at the end, so I was standing just like at front where somebody else was doing it. And this wee boy walked up and took my hand. He must have thought I was his dad. And like I looked down and went, what you doing? Like what you doing? Like, just as you would, but why you take my hand? You weird small person. I was like 18 at this point, so it was when I was like I don't want kids and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, what are you doing? And then he started crying. And this huge guy that was just like, just stood up for his chair and he was like, you make my son cry. And I was oh, he took my hand and started crying. I done nothing. I'm just standing here. What's this all about? But I man,
See, parents are weird, especially like obviously. Know that I'm saying that like people are bad parents. I get that occasionally they will get out your sight and things. I'm very privy to that. Like I've got a nephew that likes to chase buses when they're driving, so like I'm very aware that that happens. But like we obviously when we're in the ring and all that, like when we're doing like an interval at a show or all that, you see folk who they let their wains like tear at the apron and like the side skirtings and all that. Literally, I seen a boy somehow with an Allen key trying to undo the turnbuckle. See stuff like that. I remember I went up to a wee boy and I was like, I didn't even, I was 0% aggression. I can confirm that. I literally went, watch me, man, don't do that. It could be dangerous. One of the wrestlers could hurt themselves. And then the wee boy just walked away, going, all right, okay. And then come back with his ma greeting, being like, Mum, he didn't let me unscrew the turnbuckle. And the one going, would you make my son cry for him? I'm like, he tried to disassemble the ring. What do you mean? Why are you going for me? I'm just trying to make sure folk don't snap their neck and die.
my kids are like the total opposite because I started them doing like martial arts really early. So they have like ton of respect for like rings and all that kind of stuff. Like they don't even touch it at training and shit like that. So they have like a ton of respect that way. But kids when you're wrestling and plus wrestling just in general when you're on the road, stories and stuff like that is fucking it's hilarious. Like when you like a weekend if you're wrestling, just there's a ton of stories from like the after show before, try to set up the ring, try to get there, car breaking down. And
I'll
that's the best.
see. Honestly, like my favorite part of wrestling is obviously the wrestling part, but like I just love like see like obviously when you message me about this, I tell you I had already listened. Like I just love listening to stories. Like I'm pure. I like telling them as well because I do have just with the people I hang about with in wrestling, you just can't avoid stories, man, because they're all absolute riots of human beings. That's the best way I can describe it. Like every single time something weird will happen, and I think there's sometimes becomes a wee click in your head. We're going, I can tell this on a podcast one day. Yes.
I think as well, like you don't really get normal people that's going to decide to go into wrestling. Like
Oh no,
they,
that's
it's
something I learned the hard way.
it's a bunch of just
We're
put
all
together.
weirdos.
I
Like,
like and like you say, it's
like
like when you're at a show, weird shit happens because it's just a bunch of weirdos in there trying to run a show. You know what I mean? It's such a weird place.
especially like I sometimes think because I'm quite a weird guy. Like literally 99% of my time is spent either watching weird sci-fi for the 60s or like drawing weird shit, or I'm just in general quite a weird guy. I've made peace with it. But like I was thinking, like, has me being around all these weird wrestlers for as long turned me into a weird guy? Or was I drawn to wrestling because I was already a weird guy? Probably the latter, because I was always just a wee weird guy in school that used to chase folk with worms and stuff. But like, it is what it is, I hope.
Man, I hope wrestling never changes for that. Like, that's something that I like when there's so many different people to do it, and that's one of the best things. But coming to the end of the podcast, man, we've got 3 questions, 2 that I've sent you, 1 another day. If you've watched, you've heard me ask this one. But the first one is, who's your favourite wrestler of all time?
Now you ask a question. I think if we're gonna go by my weird Twitter canon universe that I've created, I would have to say Savio Vega. That's just a fact. I have to because he's phenomenal. But if we're basing it in reality, well, Savio Vega genuinely, hand to God, if there is one, which I don't believe there is anyways, but whatever, is amazing. Savio Vega's fucking phenomenal. Like, I don't care what anybody says. The man is working the new at a higher level than I'm working, and I'm 24. He's not 24. Like, but in reality, I would say it's probably. I just need to say Taker, man. Taker or Mick Foley, because Mick Foley was the big bonding factor between me and my dad. So there's like a wee kind of nice like for Mick Foley, because like Mick Foley's my dad's. My dad wouldn't need to think about that question. He would just tell you Mick Foley immediately. So I've got a soft spot for him, but like I can't cut about with this dark gimmick and the long coat and kiddo, and I'm no obsessed with the Undertaker, man. Like, oh, he's every single thing the guy does is perfect. Like, obviously not so much new, but I was watching kind of his elder stuff, kind of I think he hit his peak in like the mid to late 2000s is where I think he hit his peak. This was maybe just before like the early 2000s. And like everything he was doing was just phenomenal that I didn't realise before I loved him. So like even all the character stuff and the fact that like I was genuinely scared of him, like that all to the side, like purely wrestling wise, like you see so many people these days, like Keith Lee and like Dijakovic and all these big guys who they kind of not necessarily always flips, but like a mere hybrid speed style. And I don't think you have as much of a surge in that today without Undertaker. I just don't see it happening. But Big Scary Mary is probably my favourite. I think him. See, now that I'm saying that, I want to say CM Punk. But now that I'm saying CM Punk, I want to say Jeff Hardy. So I can't choose between the 3. It's impossible.
Man, I think it is it's hard to pick one because there's so many good wrestlers out there. Like you say that, but for me, I normally say Sting because that's somebody who got me into it. I remember seeing him and being like, "This is my guy." Then it's like, no, but
I was never really acquainted with. I was like, I was a TNA. I was a TNA appreciator at best at the time, like, because when TNA was just starting, I was like 6 when TNA started. So like, I had no idea that there was a bunch of Americans doing a weekly pay-per-view. Like, I didn't even know what a pay-per-view was. I just knew that sometimes men with tights would fight. So like, see, by the time I actually got acquainted with Sting, it was when he was well past his prime, and I can still appreciate like some of the stuff he done. And Joker Sting was phenomenal. Like, I really like Joker Sting, but like I just never Sting never got into my crosshairs very much for some reason. I would say that the most I did was I watched a lot of stuff with him and Raven, like not even directly working, like just a lot of like there was a lot of things that he was mentioned in when I was watching like Raven seminars and stuff. Because like if we're talking about folk that I like I was madly influenced by Raven,
Man,
and I kind of got into it through that.
Raven's one of my top guys. I'm trying to get him on this podcast because I'm like poor reaching out to him. We're trying to talk to organise a time because schedule wise, but Raven's one of my favourite wrestlers ever.
He's, and I think Raven as well is very much a blueprint for what we've got today. Like Raven was genuinely ahead of his time, in my opinion. Like there's so many folk that you see actually like.
And see if you
Like,
just
see for
keep
example,
talking and stuff, right? I just need to go get my charger from my phone, so just keep
crack
talking.
on.
Still hear you.
Is that belt a pillow? I thought that belt was a belt. My mind is blown. Next, you've got to tell me that's no real spray paint. Do you think maybe I could just take care of this podcast? I'm going to, the host back. I can't be in charge of the podcast anymore. I'm sorry, fans. And, and people are like, I'll try. I have my own podcast if you want that, but I can't take over this one because it has a host. I'm very sorry. And I will do better next time. I promise. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I felt like one of the folk that were doing a promo during the WrestleMania rain delay. So I felt like,
oh shit! I've not got something to talk to.
Aye, what was I talking about?
Raven, how good he is.
Aye. So I was talking. Aye. So like, see how like Raven, I think was like ahead of his time in the sense that like see how you've got guys like, for example, Chris Jericho now is probably at not the peak of his career, but he's certainly at a peak in his career. He's up there now. I genuinely think that's just time catching up with Chris Jericho in the sense that Chris Jericho was 10 years ago, he was 10 years ahead of his time. Time's catching up with Chris Jericho, and he has actually became like the kind of perfect guy for it. And I think Raven at a time was very similar. Like his later stages with like TNA and that, I think he was very similar.
Ravens, TNA kind of stuff, obviously stuff in WCW, ECW. Like I've watched pretty much every one of these matches, and like that's how when I reached out to get him on this, and he was like, "I just need to organise like a schedule," and I was like, "Oh shit, better kill." I went even more marked out like a fucking fangirl than I did when Sabu came on. I was just shat myself when that happened. And I was like, I need to get at least a few months for Raven to settle in.
See, when I don't really ask like folk out with my lane, but once I don't know why, but I just thought I kept having the idea of like doing something with my podcast. It was outside of wrestling, so I ended up being like, right, I'm into wrestling and I interview wrestlers. I'm into Doctor Who. I'm going to interview Doctor Who. So I got in contact with Peter Capaldi's like people. I don't like. See when like his people will call my people and things, I got into that with Peter Capaldi's people, and they didn't tell me no. They said he's busy, so I'm taking that as like he would definitely love to date and that Peter Capaldi wants to be my pal. But I couldn't get him on, so I hope you get Raven on. And then
I'm well. Aye, try to get that schedule stuff sorted. I've had a few that I've reached out to. I'm not going to name names, but like ex-WWE stuff and that I'm fancy and I want to talk to. That's the only reason. Like I like talking to guys that are in the Scottish scene and then guys that I'm fancy because I like to pretty much bullshit because it's fun just to talk. You know what it's like with a podcast. It's cool to talk. And I reach out to them and some of them are like, oh, it's like $6,000 and I'm like, all right, calm down. I'm not got $6,000. I'm like, I pieced my life together here at 29. Can you sell down you? But I think I've got 6,000 sitting in the bank.
I honestly like I'm not just saying this on account of the fact that like I'm not in that position the now to make that decision, but I genuinely think that no matter how well I've done it, I don't think I would charge somebody to talk to me. Like, not that I'm against it. If you want to do that and there's a value in it, then by all means go for it. I just think it's such a weird thought process of like, yes, buy a conversation with me. That's absolutely fine. It just I don't know. It very much baffles me.
Aye, but pretty much I've just buried almost every other podcast that talks about wrestling because most of them do the same thing. So I've just kind of I've made more enemies than anything. The past 3 of these that I've done, I've pretty much just buried everybody that watches this shit. So that's fine.
Honestly,
anyway,
it's fine. Like if you ever feel a need to like put yourself over in a way that you would need to bury somebody else, you can bury my podcast because my podcast is fucking shit, and I love the fact that it's shit because it's supposed to be. I literally just stick headphones on, Skype somebody, talk to them, edit it very choppily, very badly, not very good at all, and then stick it to the world, and folks seem to enjoy it. Like, I like the fact that my podcast shit. I don't know why. It's probably not a good ethos to have for a career, but fuck it.
Everybody always goes like, "Oh, why do you like edit your videos and like for like reviews and stuff like that?" And I'm like, "Well, everybody does editing and adds like the cool like whoosh in photos and shit like that." And I'm like, "Well, everybody does it, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to be the bald guy with NWO pillar that's like shouting at people." And it's been working so far, so I'm hopefully it keeps going.
If it does you, it does you, man. Like, to be fair, my podcast, it has got less shit on account of the fact that I was like, nobody wants to hear, like, nobody wants to do a shag, marry, kill on different Tory prime ministers. Nobody wants that. So I stopped asking that particular question. Now my stuff's basically, I just kind of like ask folk what their TARDIS would look like on the outside. I said mine would look like a vending machine, because then I could open the door, eat things it, and then, like, I don't know, go 18th century France or something. In that order.
Man, that's a. I've never thought about that. Now you've got my brain going. But what's your favourite wrestling event of all time? Everybody says WrestleMania 17, so if you want to pick that, you can.
I'm not going to pick Mania 17 or SummerSlam 02. That's also not happening. Mine's a weird one. Mine's is. What is it? Oh, Jesus. Aye, Mania 33. Because I went to that Mania. So, like, just having the fact that I can just go and like literally relive one of the coolest moments in my life of being at WrestleMania. Not just that, I got to see the Undertaker lose at WrestleMania. Like, that's like a thing. So, like, probably that. Plus, I was pure like unemployed and doing very bad at the time. So, like, I literally just done nothing for like a year and saved up for it and all that. So it was a cool kind of memory process. So I really like watching Mania 33 or the takeover that was involved around that. I think it was just called Takeover Orlando, because there was a phenomenal triple threat tag match between not Balls, the Revival, DIY, and the Authors of Pain. And honestly, this is probably the best match I've ever seen in person. Like, it was phenomenal. So any of the events are probably my favourite. It would definitely be on like my Desert Island Graps type scenario. Would be that for sure.
Well, I'm a bit jealous because last year I was meant to go to Mania and obviously COVID came around and helped that rug out of me. And then this year, obviously, still not allowed to kind of go because I didn't want to go and then be like, can I get back home and stuff like that. So I'm hoping next year I'm able to go, but aye, that's probably not going to happen either.
I was considering it on account of the fact that obviously Drew, but like I couldn't really, like, you can't decide to go to WrestleMania after the Royal Rumble because there's just far too much planning involved and all this stuff. So you can't. It's basically impossible to. But like, I genuinely was for ages being like, I think I should go to Mania again. I think Drew's going to be in the main event of Mania. And sure enough, he was. And bloody sure enough, he won. And there was nobody there. And I was like, that should have been me instead of Michael Cole.
Oh man, it's such a pain. Like I was going to go to Rumble this year, Mania last year, Rumble this year, and then obviously COVID's just fucking ruined everything. But the final question, man, the question that everybody either knows the answer straight away or they squirm and hum and haw and stuff like that. I'll tell you my answer, which you've probably heard, is if you could replace somebody or add yourself to any match in history, what would it be? For me, the Blue Cage, SummerSlam '94, Bray against Owen, replace Owen only if I could wrestle as good as Owen because it wasn't. It'd be shite, but like if I was good as Owen, then I.
So like there is one match that I would love to have said that like that's one of my matches, but I wouldn't change it. Like I just wouldn't because everything lined up perfectly, which was Sami Zayn against Shinsuke Nakamura at Nakamura's debut. That is that is probably my favourite match ever. Like ever. It's phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about it. But that is a really good question, actually. I would replace Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13, because then I get to wrestle Savio at WrestleMania, and that's all I live for. If I ever get signed, which isn't even a direct aim of mine, I will be saying to Vince, look, mate, you obviously signed me for a reason. You clearly fancy it. It is what it is. Get me Savio, and I'll consider your offer. Like, that's how it goes on the table. But I probably Austin in that match, or so either that one or replace Brock beating the streak, because that would have been so cool to be a party. That would be amazing. So either of the two. Just not the Sami Zayn and Nakamura match, because that needs to be untouched.
Just add yourself in as like the referee or something like that.
I would do that. Absolutely no hassle, man. And what really annoys me is Krieger was there. My trainer, like the two guys that trained me, Krieger and TJ Rage, were both there. And that was like so irritating, because I was literally the whole time I was watching this, and like this match genuinely suspended my disbelief. Like, I did not know at any point. Like, you know how after a while, when you know the structure of a match in that, you know how it's going to go after a certain point. You're like, right, they're winning. That's it. I know this. Not for a single second did I have that. I genuinely thought these people were killing themselves. I actually just thought another one. See that Battleground match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens? I just love Sami Zayn. I think that's what we're discovering, is I just really like Sami Zayn. But aye, that... no, I'm sticking with the original choice. But aye, just heavy good matches. That's a really difficult question, actually.
The worst thing
That's
that
done me.
it gets you like tomorrow you'll be like, oh shit, should I fucking pick that one? Or like a couple of days later, I changed it for my answer as well to Taker versus Kurt Angle at No Way Out 06, because that's one of my favourite matches ever. But I was like, I would need to be the referee or something, because I can't replace any of the two, because that was just a perfect match. But aye.
I mean, I would be really, really into, like, see a lot of the matches that I really like, a lot of them are just purely the nostalgia hit, and I can even acknowledge, looking back at them, that they're not a particularly good match. So, like, one of the first... I don't know why I remember this match so much, but like, I still do it from time to time, I suppose, but like, I used to, like, when I was in primary school, I would either stay up late to watch pay-per-views and then just go to school knackered, or wake up at like 5 in the morning to watch them before school. And I remember specifically, like, see the No Way Out 2005 main event with JBL and Big Show in the barbed wire steel cage.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, that's not a particularly well-received match critically. But like, I just love that, because I don't know, I just have like, see, like, this random specific childhood memory of watching that in my kitchen, eating Cocoa Pops and spitting them out when JBL went through the ring, because that's the first time I'd seen that, and I was still pretty young, so I was like, fuck, he's dead, went through the layers of the crust of the earth. JBL's in China now. That was my thought process. So aye, that's also a contender. But honestly, I've just got so many, like, see, because as I was saying at the start, like, I don't watch shows, I watch matches. So I've just got this mad catalogue, and I've actually got this thing here, which is a large notebook full of wrestling notes and matches, and there is a 4 full back-sided page, like, part of literally just matches I'm crossing out to, like, study and stuff. So if you were to ask me that in like a month's time, I would probably have a mental breakdown trying to figure it. Aye, probably that. At least I'm not one of the folk that'd be like, I'd like to replace Vern Gagne, because I've never seen any of that old style shit. It bores me. Except for Bugsy McGraw.
Some people's answers are like, oh, I would replace, like, against John Cena against The Rock to make money, and you're like, all right, it's a fun question. You don't need to think about business propositions and shit. But aye, man, thanks for being on. It's been a cool chat. Where can people find you? Where do you want people to go? Your links are in the description below, but where's somewhere you would want somebody to go find you first?
So probably my Twitter's a good place if you want to find like my podcast and stuff, which As I said earlier, it's pretty shit, but people like it, and I like doing it, so folks should check that out. Which is at Jason Hyde PW, on pretty much all platforms. So that's Facebook and Twitter. Everything else is just, I don't really have any other kind of social, just Facebook and Twitter now. And if anybody wants to check my podcast out, you can do that by searching Jason Hyde attempts to socialise on Twitter. No,
I mean,
not
people.
Twitter. All podcast outlets. Sorry, that's what I meant. I'm the unprofessional wrestler. That's what I'm a.
People should definitely check your podcast out. I listen to it when I'm in the gym on a Sunday doing stretching because I think it's funny. It's really cool.
It's a stretch podcast. I like it.
Mate, I listen to some weird stuff. Like I watch Raw when I get up at 3 a.m, so I'm awake all the time. But like I get up early to watch
I've
Raw.
got insomnia, so I know exactly what you mean, man. Like recently, I've been on this weird thing where of ghost hunting shows. Like I'm just watching a stupid amount, and like there's a guy, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. His name's Zach Baggins. He's like the host of Ghost Adventures.
I know that guy well.
Love that man because like he'll be like you just hear like, and he'll be like, yes, the demon has declared that it would like me to die immediately, and then 2 minutes later he's like, oh no, it's alright, it's just a water spout, and then next thing you know, he's trying to punch fuck out his camera crew, being like, no me, it's the fucking demon, you spicy idiot. Oh, I just love it. I'm there for it. Although I watched his movie last night in bed in the dark alone, and that was a massive mistake. I totally regret doing that. I think it's called Demon House. So good, man. You should watch it. It's heavy good.
I'm dying to go to his museum in Vegas because I
do actually have like an interest in that kind of stuff. Like, no, even in like a spiritual belief level. Genuinely, just I find it so interesting. Like the equipment and stuff like that, because I've got a background in physics, which I like to get in the podcast. So like, it just intrigues me, like the readings of it and things. I just find it so cool because I'm a massive fucking nerd.
I don't believe in any of that kind of shit, but I love watching the shows because it's like wrestling, isn't it? You just need to suspend your disbelief,
Suspend your disbelief. There is some stuff I've seen and been like, right, that is quite weird, to be fair. Like there has been a few things. Like there was this thing. I was watching the movie. It's like a documentary, but he calls it his movie, which is about this house was apparently like the next Amityville. It was like similar circumstances and all that. Blah blah blah. He bought the house, which was the maddest thing I've ever heard. Oh, there's demons. I'll take it. But he bought the house. Had a dream. Now, obviously, I do take this part with a pinch of salt, but it was like, he apparently had a dream about this goat figure that was like a demonic goat figure of some descript. And then his pal phoned him the next day and went, mate, don't get that house. There's a fucking goat figure, bro. And he was like, what? I just had a dream about that goat figure. That's mental. I'm still going to buy the house. But he bought the house, and then the old tenants of the house show up. And one of the lassies, like, there's two young lassies that are like the old tenant's daughters, and they're just looking about the house and getting a description of what this guy's investigating. And one of them's he's sitting telling them quite gruesome shit that's happened, and this guy's just going, aye, died in there, did he? Aye. 2 days later, that guy's like stabbed his wrists with a pen and has like crucifix marks in his wrist. And I was like, either that is the creepiest thing ever, demons are real and we're all going to hell when we die, or alternatively, that is the most dedication to anything I have ever seen in my life. Like, I'll get you good film sales, watch this fuck. You know what I mean?
It's like, have you ever spoke to somebody that's ever believed that they've been abducted by, however you pronounce it, by UFOs?
I have not, but I have actually spoke to somebody who swears, like genuinely, honestly swears that a ghost has spoken to them. And like don't get me wrong, like, I don't disbelieve it. I'm genuinely in like a kind of, I'm not sold, but there is some definite like unexplainable stuff. But like it is purely based in interest for me. Like it's purely just, I think it's very intriguing. It's the same as like conspiracy theories. Like, I don't believe the Queen's a lizard, but I quite like hearing how somebody got to that conclusion.
You don't even get me started on conspiracy theories. I love watching stuff about them, like the flat Earth stuff, the lizard people, the fucking we actually live in a dome and shit like that. I go balls deep in them, and just like the Illuminati ones are always the best things to watch because it's like then it's like this person's a lizard because they were in the Illuminati. And you're like, how did you get to this stage of your life? Like,
Aye, like I like doing things I probably mentioned it earlier. Like, I'm like a ridiculously massive Doctor Who fan, and sometimes I will sit and describe an episode of Doctor Who, but present it as a conspiracy theory. So I'll be like, aye, so under the ground in Wales, if you mine too deep, you'll accidentally go into the sleeping pit of lizard people called Silurians, but they can speak English. They dress like doctors. Uh, they're perfectly fine, but they're there. Or there's salt and pepper shakers that shoot at kitchen whisks.
man, it's been a good chat. I don't want to keep people on too long. So what I'll do is I'll end the podcast there. I've got all your links below. I thanks for being on, and I'll give you the information that we need to give you after it when I stop it.
Anytime, thank you.
Bums.